Hi, Jen.
Hello, good morning,
How are you
afternoon.
doing?
It's still barely morning, right? Where you're
Good
at? Where you
morning.
guys?
Although I feel like all of the stuff I've done this morning, I feel like it should be 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, I had that yesterday. My yesterday was like that. It was like boom, 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 which is good because I
Yes.
like getting things done. That's always really, really helpful.
Yes. But still, I had a lovely meeting this morning, and I usually don't have meetings before lunchtime because I earmark that time. But somehow, some way, a meeting was wiggled on at 8 a.m. in the morning.
I get a
So
few of those occasionally because of time zone. Usually because I'm Pacific time zone, so I'm, so much
yes.
earlier than everyone else. They've already gone on with their day. So
That's true.
but
That's true.
sometimes I have some clients that are like in the Middle East or parts of Europe or
Yep.
Australia, New Zealand. It's such a
Yep.
big time difference that I have to meet them early in the morning and it's late at night for them. So,
It's the joys of it. This is the joys of living in a digital connected world.
right?
Um,
It's pretty
but we
cool,
just have to give,
actually.
yeah, we just have to give grace to one another when we, aren't as talkative because it's early.
Yeah.
I got some new eye cream though this
Yeah.
weekend, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not. At least I got the dark circles figured, or at least kind of. It looks like they're still there. I need to reapply, but
I did that one time. I tried a new eye gel before I did a meeting. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. And for whatever reason, it made my eyes water. And I literally had tears just pouring down my face during this
oh
whole meeting. I'm
my
like, I
goodness.
swear I'm not crying. My eyes are just watering like crazy. So
Oh, well,
tucked it
I'll
at
tell
night.
you, I got my little lovely eye cream from a lovely lady that was at a vendor booth, which was next to mine this weekend. I don't think I've been able to tell you about this
No.
speaking event that I did this weekend. I have a blog post on the website about how for authors can leverage a conference,
Mhm.
either as an attendee or a vendor or a speaker. So if that's you, go take a peek at it. But I was asked to be a part of what is called here in the area Imaginarium Convention, and it was more your world, Jen, a fiction. I actually started writing a little bit of a fiction novel because I was inspired, but it was really cool to be around people who create worlds. And that is really a beautiful thing. I
That's
had
fun.
the ability to do two workshops, host two panels, and an author reading. And so by yesterday was no, today's Wednesday. Oh, by Monday, I was like dead to the world, but it was fun. I had a
Oh,
lot of fun
so
and had a lot of fun
that's
meeting
so fun.
people.
There is something about the live events. I mean, we love that we get to do this. Otherwise, we would never, if we didn't have all the
Yeah.
technology, we wouldn't get to do this every
Yes.
week. And you and I wouldn't even get to connect all the time like we do.
I
But
know.
there
Hate that.
is something about the in person that's really fun too. And I think it's because we don't take it for granted anymore. And so that makes it
Yeah.
really, really fun. So,
And being amongst your people, that was something also that I felt seen
mhm,
from a lot of people because all you have to say is one little thing, and we all are like, "Yes, I know that."
right?
And the loved
Yes.
ones in our life that don't experience authorship the way that we do just don't understand in the same way. So it was really fun. But something I walked away from, which is timely that our topic today, when we're talking about launching, is around the win
Mhm,
win win of when do I do it all, is a question that extends any genre, any type of writing, and any author's world. Like, when am I supposed to execute, and when am I supposed to do these things? My answer is never what people want, Jen. It's like now. Now is the answer is when. But today we're going to dissect a couple of the when questions, and so I had a chance to learn a little bit from the people in the room. Before we go too deep, I would love to give like one tidbit, Jen, of the conference experience that I thought, and I want to ask you, like, think of a conference that you attended or spoke at or had a table or whatever. Like, do you have a piece of advice for authors there too? I learned a lot. I'm just curious. Do you have anything that comes to your mind yet?
yeah,
Or you're like,
so a lot, I would say, I don't know, 75, 80, maybe higher percent of authors are introverted. And
yeah.
so and I'm an introvert. You would never guess that because I play an extrovert in my real life. But I really am an introvert. I need time alone. I need time away at a conference to recharge. That's kind of the difference. Introverts recharge from being alone. Extroverts recharge from being with people. And so one of the things that I always tell people is pretend you are an extrovert. If you actually just start a conversation with another person, they're so glad that you did, that they will continue that conversation with you. And it can be very simple, like, where are you from? What do you write? Especially at a conference, right? What do you write? That's a great, tell me about your book. How long have you been writing? Just start asking. I always say, be curious about the other person. And then the conversation just flows. And I think for a lot of introverts, that first hurdle of talking to someone, and I just tell them, you know what, the other person's going to be so glad that you started the conversation. They're going to be so glad. And so that's my tip, is just start a conversation with people. And it can be very, very simple. It does not have to be complex or anything like that. And it will make your experience so much richer, because there's nothing like going to a conference and never talking to anybody.
No, you have to talk, and you have to push yourself out of that comfort zone, whether you're an attendee or you are a vendor. Books don't sell themselves, so you have to talk to the people looking or walking by your table. And if you're an attendee, I saw people selling books and they didn't have a vendor table. So being extroverted and sharing in those ways are good. Okay, so my tip, Jen, is around book launch, and that I actually used one of my speaking engagements to talk about the book that I'm working on that's coming out in the fall. And I encourage you to never think that without a book in hand, you can't promote it. I had a massive list I went through yesterday of people who are interested to go ahead and get on my email list, because they want to know about this new book. So don't wait. People want to know if you're sharing value. People will want to buy into that, and they are excited about it. Oh, let's see. We have pop in the comment, Zan. I met my women's fiction tribe at the 20 Books Madrid conference. Yes, so see, it's your people. It's our people.
Makes a big difference, I mean, and Zan is a perfect example of how we have connection in our group digitally, through our circle, our private circle group, and some online learning and things that we've done. And we have writing sprints and stuff through Zoom. And I think that's something to think about with your launch, as we're talking about when there's different aspects you're going to do, right? You might do an online launch. There are a lot of people that do that. You might do an in-person launch. And to your point, when people are interested, start collecting those emails. Like, that's why you want to have an email list, because if you can collect those emails, then you can give them information when you have these specific dates. And then one other thing, as we were talking about being with our people and having people who get you, have some sort of event around people who get you, who support you, right? Because a lot of times if you're doing an event where you're trying to, like at a vending event or whatever, where you're trying to sell your book to people, where you have to sort of convince them, you need something where people are going to be supportive of you. They're going to pour into you. They're going to be excited. So if you have other authors that you've worked with, if you have a group of friends that have been super supportive with you on the journey, do something that celebrates you and celebrates the fact that you have done an amazing thing, which is write a book. Because so many people want to write a book. Very few people do. Very few people finish it. And so make sure you have something that does bring your tribe together and celebrates you.
Yes, you must. Don't overlook that, even if it's just about pulling your family together at an hibachi grill. Jen, that's what I usually do.
Something fun.
So we eat sushi together and celebrate that I just did this massive thing. Yeah. Okay, so love it. And Zan, thanks for sharing that too. I love it. I've been to Madrid, and it's a beautiful, beautiful city and beautiful country. Love it. All right, so my first question, Jen, let's talk about, when is the best time to release my book? And, I will say I'll give you my thoughts, and I want you to weigh in. The best time to release the book is when it's ready. But also being methodical about when your target reader is going to be open to hearing and absorbing it. So you may want to consider releasing your book around, if you wrote a book around a breast cancer diagnosis, you might consider doing it in October, but you may go, oh, it's too crowded there, and I want to do it another time. You may want to do it before the holiday season, and so you're wanting to get it out in August, September, or ish so that you kind of ahead of the game, or it might make sense for it to be at a certain time. So the answer to the timing is really based on when you're ready and when your readers are going to be most open to learning about it and absorbing. What do you think?
That's a great way. That's a great way of putting it. I've often said, try to find something that you can attach your book to, especially for nonfiction, that makes sense. So you can tag into some bigger publicity, right? So that's always helpful, even if it's something silly like National Ice Cream Day or whatever it might be. I mean, there's that whole, there's all those, there's a website, Holiday Insights, I think, .com, and it has all the whatever holidays for this day, and then also like what happened on this day in history, and some of those can be guidelines to help. But your point to, is it too crowded during that time, is also a good point, right? Typically, if you think around the US, the big holidays, 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's really hard to launch around those dates because people are so distracted outdoors or at parties or barbecues or whatever, and they're just not really thinking about your book. So those are really challenging times for sales. So you might want to avoid some of the big things, but if you can find some smaller things that you can tie into, things that might deal with like your, especially if you do something that's local, you want to do a local event, see what's happening on in your area and what you can tie into for that. But I agree. I mean, I wouldn't wait a whole year or 6 months or 3 months necessarily just so you can tie into some small obscure holiday. But at the beginning, when you're planning your book, you can be thinking about these things as you're planning your launch. But bottom line is launch it when you're ready, because the point, as long as it's sitting on your computer and it's not out in the world, it can't help people.
I know. So there's a book I've been working on about my health diagnosis in the and not really just about it, but around like uncovering and hiding behind that. And it connects with the diagnosis I have, which is around a sleep disorder. And so I think it's September, which is a National Sleep Disorder Month or whatever. And so in my mind, Jen, like it's nice because it lets me know, I don't know that the world is going to be inundated with that month, but for me, it gives me a reason to kind of hold to it. And then it also connects the dots so that now I can plan accordingly. So I like that. It's like, don't not do it because of an obscure holiday. But if you're looking at it and you're planning out, it gives you something to kind of work toward. And if you can connect within it, for instance, I might be able to do something with some of the publications, niche publications out there around it, or there might be some conferences around it. So be thinking about what that looks like too.
Yeah, I agree.
All righty. So I am next question. When is the best time to be poised to hit a bestseller accolade? There is timings, Jen. I have found Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are the best days to release, but I'm curious with your background in the publishing world. I know there was some specifics you told me in the past on how you all did it. Share a little bit.
Yeah. So we used to release on the first Tuesday of the month. That was our goal. But we would never tell anyone that was the date necessarily till we really did have everything locked in. We would say it was that month. So we said something's going to be released in October. The team knew that was the first Tuesday in October, but it gave us some wiggle room. If we got into some trouble, we could still have an October release, but it might be the second or the third day. Tuesdays happen to be good in that way, just because you'd come back from the Monday and you could get everything, make sure there's no issues. And usually, of course, in a traditional world, you might have heard this like with Harry Potter books, some of these really big name books where they get embargoed, which means the books are printed and they're shipped on pallets to bookstores, but they are covered up and you cannot open them. They're under contract to not open them until midnight or whatever, right? So you see people lining up outside the store for the new Harry Potter book at midnight. So traditionally you would have the books would already be printed and ready to go and shipped and supposed to be in the store on those dates. We're not going to have those issues for the most part. So, it would be a wonderful problem to have, right? That would be a great problem to have.
It would be an awesome thing.
So traditionally that's what happens, but you can think about, if you release on a Monday, then maybe you're getting in ahead of some traditional books that might come out on Tuesday, especially if And you,
Yep.
if you read the trade papers, Publishers
Yep.
Weekly is the trade, they always announce what the deals are. And so if you happen to know there's something coming out, you could sneak in ahead of time if you wanted to. If you're making a run for something like the USA Today, they have a certain week's worth of sales, but it starts, I can't remember if it starts a Sunday or a Monday. So you would take that into consideration. You would want that whole week. But if we're talking about Amazon bestseller tags, those update like every hour. So that does not matter too much. So I would think about all the things you're going to be doing that week. If you're going to have a full release week, you might need a Monday or a Tuesday. You know, again, Monday, people are kind of coming back. They've got their inboxes inundated. There's a lot of reasons that a Tuesday can be a better release day for that. Then again, a lot of people do that. So, you know, again, right? Sometimes you do what everyone's doing. Sometimes you go against the curtain. And either way, you know, it can work different times. So I don't think a day is going to tank you. I would not say that, oh my gosh, if you release on a Thursday, you're just in trouble. You're never going to, I wouldn't say that at all. I would say, think about all the things that you have to do and find a day that makes the most sense for you and your life and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you want it. It's as much as just like what we said before about the best time to release. Like it's as much about when you're going to have capacity and when people are going to be open to reading it and observing it or what have you. I do think Mondays and Fridays get crazy in the world of business. And so from the nonfiction space, I'm like, you know, people are in business mode Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, they get warmed up on Mondays and Friday. They're looking to the weekend. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Summer. You know, a lot of businesses take summer hours, which means they have a reduced or a no Friday or every other Friday or something like that. And so those are all things to think about. Holidays, national holidays where you might not go to work, but the bank and the post office is closed. You know, I mean, those are all things to take into consideration. More so with nonfiction than fiction. Fiction does have its up and downs, again, when people are paying attention to buying books and people aren't. But nonfiction, when you're looking for a very particular segment of the audience, you need to think about what your audience is doing and when they're going to be able to pay the most attention to you.
Yeah, and think about where they're going to be. We, I know you know this, Jen, but I'm hosting a women's retreat with a peer, a friend of mine in the industry, and
I would totally go to that.
I know. We're gonna have you come to one of them. We'll be doing more. However, it was a tight opportunity, and so we launched it on July 4th, and we thought, okay, well, I mean, you know, we have a week to get people. That's it. Right. Like a week promotion window. What is it going to look like? And while the 4th was great, people were also on the water and, you know, hanging out in canoes and things. So just keep that in mind that you can still get what you're wanting out of it. Just know you might have to try things a little bit differently. Our marketing approach was a little bit different. And anyways, I'm sorry. I'm having weird internet issues. And then my dad's calling me and I'm like, leave me alone, people. I'm doing a live stream.
It happens. Everybody decides they need to talk to you at this very moment.
I know. I'm like, I'm canceling everything because I have weird internet. And here's my dad calling. But anyways, time. He doesn't know the time of the world either, right? Like,
no. This is why the morning is good. This is why we like to get our work done in the morning before the rest of the world decides, hey, I need something from you.
Right. I know, you know, if I work with the clients I work with know that occasionally they'll see emails from me in the mornings and on the weekends. And it's not because I expect them to work or even want them to respond, just because it's quiet. It is quiet and we can get things done.
You know, you can do the scheduled send on your email.
I know. But here's my problem with emails and with books. When it's ready to go, I just want to go. I just want to do it and be done. And so I'm like, let's just launch the book today. So I don't always practice what I preach at times because I just want it out. But a methodical, strategic author will plan the when that works best for them. And I guess the third question, Jen, we talked a little bit with the conference topic, but when should I start telling people about my book? This is when I get asked a lot because people are uncomfortable. Like now.
Yeah.
All the time.
What are you up to? Oh, I'm writing a book on this topic and I hope to help these kinds of people. And then people will be very excited about that. Like literally right away. I mean, in the fiction world and even in the nonfiction world too, we start writing our book by writing the back cover copy, by writing a tagline. Like, this is not going to be your permanent set in stone, but it gives you language. Sometimes people call it the elevator pitch, but it gives you language to talk about your book. Instead of feeling like you're rambling and going on for 5 minutes about it, you're able to say what it's about, who it's for, who it helps, what the transformation is. And then you're able to talk to people about that, and then they're excited about it. And this is why you need an email list right away.
Yes.
Right away.
Yes.
Even if you don't do a whole lot with it, you have captured that interest so that when the book releases, you're able to email those people. Talk about it all the time. When you have a cover, do a cover release, put it up on your social media, tell people about it. Be excited. People want to be excited with you. And share some of that stuff. So right away, even while you're still writing the book, talk about it. It feels awkward, I know, but believe me, they're getting this little bit. You feel like it's this much, and most people are getting like this bit from it. People want to be excited.
They do. It gets them excited. You have to keep in mind that most people have never written and published a book.
No.
And so we are way cooler than they know we are. We are cool, by the way, but we're not quite as cool as they probably think we are. But at the end of the day, it's like, here's what I tell authors. When you're looking at social, I want you to look at that in a more delicate lens than talking to people you come in contact with. When you're on social, I think it's good to tell people about your book and to do it methodically, like when you are writing, when you have a cover, whatever. If every day you talked about your book, but the people on social could not take action, it will fall flat. So on social media, just be careful as you're dripping it, where a few things ahead where they know that you've got some things going, you're getting demand. And then that's why we really like pre-orders, because it allows you and them to take action. But behind the scenes, you could be doing things, like at the conference is a prime example. I hosted a workshop about the new book that I'm writing. Not only does it help me get beta input and feedback, but it lets me prepare and what have you. And it lets me build a list of people. Now I have a list of people who are like, when is that book coming out? And it also holds me accountable to get it finished. Right? It's a beautiful dance.
One cool thing you can do when you have an event like that and your book's not ready, you can print up postcards or bookmarks with QR codes on them, so people can just scan them and it goes straight to your sign up page on your, like a landing page for your website, sign up for your email, super easy, and then they've got something to carry with them too. I love bookmarks. So I always carry bookmarks of my books in my purse, because people will always ask me, oh, what do you write? Well, here, let me give you something, because you're not going to remember the titles. You probably won't even remember my name. But if you're a reader, you're going to hang on to a bookmark. Absolutely. And so it's got a little, it looks pretty. It's a little graphic, especially if you've got colors, branding, cover, anything. And same thing with a little postcard or whatever. And they don't go out of style. Because that information is going to stay current. So I would not send them necessarily to an Amazon link. I would send them to your website. But do those early on as people are asking, then you've got something tangible to give them. And again, it's one more thing that keeps you accountable. And it's a super easy thing. You get those things printed up at Got Print or Vista or your local, whatever, for under $50. So it's totally worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So next week, we are wrapping up the 4 weeks of launch, and we're going to talk about in-person and virtual launch celebrations. I've done both. Have you done both, Jen?
I will tell you, I've never done an in-person one. I've only ever done virtual.
Well, we're going to change that when you have your next book come out. We'll have to do something.
You'll have to come here and throw me a party, because I don't throw parties.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, join us next week. We'll be wrapping that up. And then next month, we'll pop into a whole nother series and season and topics. But this has been fun talking about when. If you walk away with nothing more, the answer to when is a merge between when you're ready and when your readers are ready.
Absolutely.
All right, Jen, send us away.
All right, authors, you have power. Your message has power. Your words have power. And so we invite you to come join us each week as we take all of that to the page and beyond as we help you in your book success. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
See you next week.